There's a voice inside you, the one that whispers when you fail, don't quit. You've been knocked down, overlooked, underestimated. Maybe you've started things and never finished them. But what if the only thing standing between you and everything you want is your focus? Not talent, not luck, just laser focus, until you win. This isn't just motivation, it's survival. This book is your wake-up call. The world doesn't hand out rewards for potential, only results. And to get results, you've got to focus, even when it hurts, even when no one believes in you, even when you don't believe in yourself. This is Focus On Until You Win. Let's begin. The world owes you nothing, and that's your advantage. Most people waste years waiting for permission. They wait for recognition, for opportunity, for someone to finally hand them a break. They think if they just stay good long enough, life will reward them for it. But the truth is, the world doesn't owe you a thing. Not your boss, not your parents, not the government, not your friends. Nothing and no one is coming to save you or make it easier. The system is not broken. It was never built for you to win. It was built for the people who are already winning. And once you accept that, you're finally free. That might sound harsh, but it's actually the most empowering truth you'll ever learn. Because if no one owes you anything, then everything you gain, you earn. You own it. You built it. There's no dependency, no excuses. You become the architect of your life. Most people are trapped in quiet frustration because they've been sold the illusion that someone someday will change their life for them. But change never comes wrapped in comfort. It's not found in a promotion, a paycheck, or a pat on the back. It's found in relentless focus, deep accountability, and the brutal honesty to look in the mirror and say, if it's going to happen, it's up to me. The victim mindset is seductive. It gives you someone to blame. It gives you a way out. You didn't succeed because your childhood was rough, because the economy collapsed, because you didn't have connections. But every excuse, no matter how true it may seem, is still a decision to give your power away. The people who win in this world are not the ones with the easiest path. They're the ones who learn how to stop waiting and start creating. They stop saying, "Why me?" and start asking, "What now?" Think about the most successful people you admire. Rarely are they the most talented or gifted. They're the most focused. They showed up when others disappeared. They kept going when the hype died. They made something from nothing because they understood early that no one was coming. They realized that life isn't fair, but focus levels the playing field. If you're willing to show up hungry, locked in, and obsessed with improvement, you can outperform people with more money, more talent, more experience, because most of them are still waiting to feel like it. You don't need to feel like it, you just need to show up. When you take full ownership of your life, you remove the limits. You stop asking for permission. You stop waiting for signs. You stop comparing. Instead, you take what you have and you build with it. That may mean you start with broken tools and shaky confidence. That's fine. That's how every builder starts. The key is not perfection, it's progress. Forward motion. Focus is the fuel, and action is the vehicle. You learn by doing. You win by enduring. You evolve by refusing to stop. Every time you blame, complain, or delay, you fall back into the illusion that someone else controls the outcome, and that's the trap that keeps people average. They give away their time, their focus, their future to things they can't control. But when you reclaim your focus, you reclaim your power. You begin to see every obstacle as a test, every failure as feedback, every day as a new shot to get better. You stop waiting for the conditions to be perfect and start working with whatever's in your hands right now. That mindset flips the game. You go from reactive to proactive. You go from surviving to building. You stop feeling stuck because you're finally moving. The biggest shift you'll ever make is this. Stop asking for life to be fair. Start asking how you can get stronger, how you can outfocus, outgrind, and outgrow your current version. Because you are not owed a great life. You have to build it. You have to fight for it. You have to stay focused when everyone else quits. That's the advantage. Most people don't have the grit to stay in the game long enough to win, but you do. You just have to stop wishing things were different and start using what's in front of you. When you realize the world owes you nothing, you stop resenting it and start respecting yourself. You stop being passive and become dangerous, because now your energy is directed. Now your focus is clear. You don't waste time on opinions, on drama, on doubt. You use everything, your pain, your story, your flaws, as building blocks. Nothing is wasted when you are focused. You understand that every lesson, every rejection, every setback is shaping you into someone unstoppable. Not because it's easy, but because it's yours. You earned it. You kept showing up when no one clapped. You kept moving when no one watched. That's the kind of person who wins. Not the loudest, not the smartest, the most focused, the one who refuses to stop until the mission is complete. Focus is not something you either have or you don't. It's not a personality trait or a genetic gift. Focus is a skill, a muscle, and like every muscle it grows with intentional effort and it weakens when ignored. You don't get mentally strong by accident. You get strong by design, by repetition, by showing up daily and doing what most people refuse to do. Stay locked in on one thing long enough to master it. Most people live in mental chaos, notifications, distractions, endless scrolling, constant comparison. They wonder why they feel stuck, scattered, and unmotivated. It's because their attention has been hijacked. Their focus has been fractured into 1,000 pieces, and they don't even realize it. The truth is, we live in a world that profits from your distraction. Your inability to focus makes other people rich. They want you addicted to the next video, the next post, the next dopamine hit. But if you want to win, you have to pull your power back. You have to become obsessed with protecting your attention. You have to treat your focus like your life depends on it. Because it does. Every goal you set, every dream you have, every skill you want to master, all of it is built on one foundation: focus. You can have all the knowledge, tools, and inspiration in the world, but if you can't sit down, lock in, and execute consistently, none of it matters. Building focus starts small. It's not about massive changes overnight. It's about consistency. It's about picking one thing and seeing it through. You don't train a muscle by lifting the heaviest weight on day one. You start light. You build reps. You grow stronger. Same goes for your focus. Begin by limiting your distractions for short windows. Work for 25 minutes straight without checking your phone. Do it again tomorrow. Then extend it. Turn it into an hour, then 2. Over time, you'll find your ability to lock in grows, just like your body grows stronger under resistance. Most people never give themselves this discipline. They chase productivity hacks instead of developing the core skill that underlies all success: the ability to direct their energy fully, deeply, and consistently. You also need to understand the cost of split focus. Every time you stop one task to jump into another, your brain bleeds energy. There's a lag, a reset. You lose momentum. You lose depth. Multitasking isn't efficient. It's draining. The most elite performers don't do more things. They do fewer things better. They have systems, they have rituals, they create boundaries. They don't wake up and guess what to focus on. They've already decided. Their mornings aren't random. Their routines aren't optional, because they know success isn't built on willpower, it's built on structure. They train their focus the way athletes train their bodies, with discipline, with recovery, with intensity, and with purpose. Mental stamina is one of the most underrated advantages in today's world. While everyone is chasing shortcuts, you gain power by going deep. Instead of tapping out when it gets boring or hard, you lean in, you stay with the problem, you push through resistance. That's where breakthroughs happen. That's where mastery begins. There's a moment every time you work when your brain wants to quit. It starts looking for easier ways out. That's the wall. And every time you push past that wall, your focus muscle grows. Every time you stay in the zone when others walk away, you build endurance. That's what separates winners. Not intelligence, not talent. Endurance, mental toughness, the ability to stay locked in. People talk about passion like it's the answer. Passion is great. But passion fades. It's emotional. It comes and goes. What you really need is the ability to focus through boredom, through fear, through setbacks, to keep going when the novelty wears off, to finish what you start. That's where the real growth happens. It's not the glamorous part, it's not flashy, but it's everything. The ones who win are the ones who train when nobody's watching, who stay the course when no one's clapping, who write the email, build the product, do the reps every day, with or without motivation. Focus is also about choosing what to say no to. Every yes you give to something meaningless is a no to your mission. You can't do it all, and you shouldn't try. If it doesn't align with your purpose, it's a distraction. If it doesn't move you forward, it's pulling you back. You have to become ruthless with your time. You have to value your attention more than your comfort. That means turning off the noise, distancing yourself from energy-draining people, and building an environment that supports deep work. Your surroundings matter. Your routines matter. Every choice you make either strengthens your focus or weakens it. When you commit to building your focus muscle daily, everything changes. You stop reacting to life and start creating it. You stop drifting and start dominating. You stop hoping and start executing. Focus is the great equalizer. It's how the underdog beats the expert. It's how the broke kid becomes the entrepreneur. It's how the overlooked talent becomes the master. Every day is a chance to build that edge. Every task is a rep. Every moment is an opportunity to choose growth over distraction. The results you want are on the other side of that choice, and that choice is made in the now. Clarity is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Without it, you drift. You move through life like a ship without a compass, always reacting, never directing. You wake up every day busy but not productive, working hard but going nowhere. That's what happens when you lack clarity. You don't know where you're headed, so everything feels urgent, everything feels overwhelming, and nothing feels meaningful. Clarity is power. It turns chaos into action and intention into results. If you want to build something meaningful, something lasting, the first step is to get brutally clear on what it is you're building and why it even matters. Most people have vague goals. They say they want to be successful, rich, or happy, but they can't define what any of that looks like in concrete terms. They talk about dreams, but they haven't broken those dreams into specific targets. So they chase random opportunities, copy what others are doing, and end up stuck in cycles of confusion and burnout. The mind cannot chase what it cannot see. You cannot focus on fog. Until you define your mission with precision, your actions will always feel scattered, and your energy will always feel drained. The first level of clarity is about the outcome. What exactly do you want? Not what sounds impressive, not what your parents want, not what you think you should do. What do you really want to create, change, or accomplish? Get specific. Saying you want financial freedom isn't enough. What does that look like? How much money per month? By what date? In what field? Saying you want to start a business isn't clarity. What kind of business? Serving whom? Solving what problem? Real clarity has numbers, timelines, and outcomes. If you can't measure it, you can't improve it. If you can't explain it simply, you're not ready to build it. The second level of clarity is about the reason. Why does this matter to you? What's driving you? Because if you don't have an emotional connection to your goal, you will give up the moment it gets hard. Your why is the fuel. Without it, you will run out of gas every time you hit resistance. This isn't about some shallow motivational quote. This is about finding the fire underneath your goal. Maybe it's about proving something to yourself. Maybe it's about breaking a generational pattern. Maybe it's about building a legacy for your family. Whatever it is, you have to feel it deeply. Otherwise, you won't stay in the fight long enough to win. The third level of clarity is about the plan. Once you know what you want and why you want it, you need to map out how you're going to get it. This doesn't mean you need every detail figured out, but you need a direction, a strategy, a set of steps you can start taking today. Most people stay broke, financially, mentally, or emotionally, not because they're lazy, but because they're scattered. They don't know where to put their energy, so they waste it. They dabble. They jump from idea to idea. But once you get clear on your path, you move differently. You say no more. You eliminate more. You commit harder. You stop asking, should I, and start asking, how fast can I? Clarity also brings peace. When you know what matters most, you stop chasing every shiny thing. You stop comparing yourself to people on social media. You stop feeling behind because you know you're on your own path. Clarity doesn't mean your journey will be easy, but it means your journey will be yours. And that ownership changes everything. You stop needing external validation. You stop switching lanes every time something gets hard. You build momentum because every step you take is aligned with your purpose. There's a reason high achievers are often calm in the chaos. They have clarity. While others are panicking, they're executing. While others are guessing, they're adjusting. Clarity creates confidence. It doesn't remove all fear, but it gives you something stronger than fear. Direction. And that direction becomes your anchor. When life hits you, when plans fall apart, when doubt creeps in, you don't spin out. You reset, you refocus, because you never lost sight of where you were going. Getting clear isn't something you do once, it's something you do regularly. Life changes, you evolve, priorities shift. That's why you need to revisit your vision often. Ask yourself, is this still what I want? Is this still who I want to be? Am I still walking the path that leads where I truly want to go? Don't be afraid to pivot if the old goals no longer serve the new version of you. But don't drift either. Don't let distractions, fears, or other people's expectations rewrite your story. Write it yourself, with clarity, with courage, and with conviction. If you don't take the time to get clear, you will spend years stuck in places you don't belong, doing work you don't love, surrounded by people who don't get you. But if you do take the time, even just a few hours, to define your vision, your values, and your plan, you will unlock more focus, energy, and momentum than you ever thought possible. You won't just move faster, you'll move smart. You'll make fewer decisions and get better results. Because clarity is not just knowing what to do, it's knowing what not to do. And in a world full of noise, that's one of the greatest advantages you can have. In a culture obsessed with doing more, multitasking has become a badge of honor. People pride themselves on juggling 5 things at once, responding to messages while working on a project, while listening to a podcast, while checking social media. But the truth is, multitasking is one of the biggest lies we've been sold. It doesn't make you efficient, it makes you average. The brain is not built to focus on multiple high-level tasks at once. Every time you switch between tasks, your mind needs time to adjust, to recalibrate. That lag in performance, multiplied over hours, days, weeks, and years, destroys deep work and robs you of the progress you could have made if you had just locked in on one thing. High achievers don't do everything. They do a few things, and they do them with ruthless focus. They don't spread their energy thin, they concentrate it. They understand that the person who chases 2 rabbits catches none. When you try to do everything at once, nothing gets done with excellence. You leave projects half-finished. You start books but never finish them. You begin goals but don't follow through. It's not because you're lazy, it's because your energy is fractured, and fractured energy produces weak results. Multitasking makes you feel busy, but not productive. You feel like you're moving because you're always doing something, but when you step back, you realize you haven't actually completed anything that matters. You've just been reacting, checking boxes, and putting out fires. Productivity isn't about motion, it's about completion, and you can't complete high-level work when your attention is constantly being pulled in 10 directions. Winners know this. They don't chase distractions dressed as opportunities. They choose what to ignore just as carefully as they choose what to pursue. When you lock in, you give yourself permission to go deep. Deep focus creates deep results. It's in those moments of uninterrupted work that breakthroughs happen. That's where skill is developed. That's where creativity flows. When you eliminate distractions, your brain starts to connect ideas in powerful ways. Your thoughts get sharper, your output gets cleaner, your work becomes something you're proud of. This doesn't happen in shallow work mode, checking emails every 5 minutes or scrolling while trying to think. It happens when you commit fully, without compromise. Training yourself to lock in is not easy. Your mind will resist. It's been conditioned by years of instant gratification, but the ability to lock in is a superpower. And like all superpowers, it takes training. Start small. Give yourself a 30-minute block with no interruptions, no phone, no tabs open, just you and the task. At first, your mind will rebel. You'll want to check something. You'll feel uncomfortable. That's withdrawal. That's your brain detoxing from distraction. Push through it. Keep going. The more you practice deep focus, the easier it gets. You build mental stamina, and soon you'll be able to work for hours in a state of flow while others are still bouncing between notifications. Most people don't get more done because they don't give themselves the environment to win. They try to work in chaos. They try to build empires in noise. Winners design their surroundings to support focus. They silence distractions. They clear the clutter. They communicate boundaries. They don't answer every call, respond to every message, or jump into every conversation. They are not rude. They are intentional because they know that focus is fragile. And once it's broken, it takes time to recover. Every interruption is a withdrawal from your mental bank, and if you keep withdrawing without refueling, you burn out, not from too much work, but from too much wasted attention. The myth of multitasking has been especially dangerous in the digital age. It convinces people they should be doing everything all at once. Learn a skill, build a business, grow a brand, post content, read, network, research, all at the same time. But success doesn't come from divided attention. It comes from sequential domination. One thing, done with excellence, opens the door to the next thing. You don't need 10 projects to feel valuable. You need one mission, done with fire and focus. That's what builds confidence. That's what builds credibility. That's what creates results people can see. Focus is the highest form of respect you can give your goals. When you lock in on something, you're saying, "This matters." You're telling the world that your dream deserves your full attention, that it's worth your best energy, that it's not just a hobby or a wish, it's a priority. And when you show up with that level of focus, doors open, people notice, results multiply. Because consistency in deep work is rare, and rare always gets rewarded. If you want to win in a world full of noise, you must train yourself to go quiet, to go deep, to choose the work over the distraction, to choose progress over popularity, to choose depth over noise. Locking in is not about being perfect. It's about being present, about saying, "I'm here, I'm focused, I'm giving this my all." And when you do that, again and again, you create results that cannot be ignored. Motivation is a spark. It feels good, it's exciting, and when it hits, it makes everything seem possible. But the problem with motivation is that it's unreliable. It comes and goes like the wind. One day you wake up fired up and ready to conquer the world. The next, you can't even get out of bed. That's the trap most people fall into. They rely on motivation to get things done. They wait to feel like it. They wait for the energy to strike, for the stars to align, for that perfect wave of inspiration to carry them through. But the winners, the ones who actually achieve greatness, don't rely on motivation. They rely on discipline. Discipline doesn't care about your mood. It doesn't ask how you feel. It doesn't need hype or emotion. Discipline is mechanical. It's cold. It's consistent. It's the quiet voice that says, "Do it anyway." That's where real progress lives. Not in the high of starting, but in the grind of continuing. Discipline gets up at 5 a.m. when the bed is warm. Discipline puts in the reps when nobody is watching. Discipline says no to what feels good now so you can say yes to what you really want later. That's the difference. Motivation is emotion. Discipline is commitment. Most people associate discipline with suffering or punishment, but discipline is freedom. It's the freedom to wake up and know you're getting better no matter what. The freedom to not be a slave to your mood, your cravings, your impulses. The freedom to build momentum even when life is messy. Discipline is the bridge between your goals and your results. Without it, you're just dreaming. With it, you become unstoppable. The reason discipline is so rare is because it requires ownership. It forces you to stop blaming your circumstances and start taking responsibility. It means no more excuses. It means showing up even when you're tired, even when it's raining, even when no one claps for you. And that's what makes it powerful. It builds grit. It builds consistency. It separates the wishers from the doers. While most people talk about what they want, the disciplined are already building it, step by step, day by day. Motivation is what gets you started. Discipline is what keeps you going. You can be excited to start a business, a fitness journey, a new project. But after a week, when the novelty fades and the obstacles show up, what do you have left? If you're waiting for the next burst of motivation, you'll stay stuck. But if you've built discipline, you move forward anyway. That's where the breakthroughs happen. That's where confidence is built, not from feeling good, but from doing the work regardless of how you feel. Discipline is not something you're born with, it's something you build. It's a skill, and like any skill, it improves with use. Start small. Keep promises to yourself. Wake up when you said you would. Finish the workout even when it hurts. Do the work before checking your phone. Each small act of discipline strengthens your mental muscle. Over time, it becomes who you are. You stop needing to force it. It becomes automatic. It becomes your standard. When you live a disciplined life, everything changes. You start to trust yourself. You know that no matter what happens, you'll keep showing up. That trust becomes your foundation. It eliminates doubt. It silences fear. Because you're not hoping you'll follow through, you know you will. That kind of self-respect is rare. Most people can't count on themselves. They break promises to themselves every day. They say they'll start tomorrow, next week, next year. But discipline doesn't wait. It moves, it acts, it builds, and in that action, it creates results. One of the most important truths about discipline is that it doesn't get easier, you get stronger. The resistance never fully disappears. The temptations, the fatigue, the desire to quit, they don't vanish, but your ability to push through them improves. Your tolerance for discomfort increases, and that edge, that capacity to keep going when it's hard, is what separates average from elite. Most people quit when they're 40% into their potential. Discipline pushes you to 80, 90, 100%. It extracts every ounce of what you have and then asks for more. You don't need to feel inspired to act. You just need to decide. That decision to move, to work, to execute triggers everything else. The feelings will follow the action. Action breeds momentum. Momentum breeds confidence. Confidence breeds results. But it all starts with discipline. Every time you delay the hard thing, you feed weakness. Every time you do it anyway, you feed strength. Over time, you become what you consistently do. If you act with discipline, you become disciplined. If you wait for motivation, you stay stuck. This isn't about being robotic, it's about being committed. It's about having a standard for your life and refusing to drop below it. Discipline is how you show yourself what you're capable of. It's how you earn your own respect. And when you respect yourself, everything changes. Your mindset, your results, your entire identity. Discipline turns goals into habits and habits into lifestyle. It rewires your mind for consistency, execution, and resilience. While others are chasing motivation, you're building the kind of strength that doesn't fade. Because when motivation fails, and it always does, discipline is what will carry you through to the finish line. The path to greatness is often lonely. It's a truth people don't talk about enough because it's uncomfortable. Everyone loves the highlight reel, the applause, the victory lap, but what they don't show is the silence before the success. The nights where it's just you, your thoughts, and the grind. The weekends when everyone else is out relaxing and you're locked in, working on your craft. The early mornings when you rise before the world wakes up, not because it's fun, but because it's necessary. This kind of isolation isn't glamorous, it's not Instagram worthy, but it's the breeding ground for transformation. Most people avoid being alone with themselves because it forces them to confront their weaknesses, their doubts, their fears. Distractions are easy, noise is comforting, but focus requires separation. Growth requires stillness. You cannot build something extraordinary if you're constantly surrounded by average conversations, average habits, and average environments. The higher you climb, the smaller your circle gets, not because you want to cut people off, but because not everyone is built for the pace, the vision, or the sacrifice that greatness demands. There will be seasons where it feels like no one understands you, where your goals make others uncomfortable, where people you once called friends will question your choices, mock your discipline, or disappear altogether. This is part of the process. It doesn't mean you're wrong, it means you're evolving. When you begin to pursue something bigger than yourself, it creates distance, not because you're better than others, but because your priorities are shifting. You start to value time differently. You begin choosing long-term purpose over short-term pleasure. And that decision, repeated daily, naturally separates you from the majority. Loneliness is not a curse on the journey, it's a test. It asks one simple question: are you serious about this or not? Anyone can hustle when the crowd is cheering, but can you keep showing up when no one sees you, when no one claps, when no one understands what you're building? That's where most people quit. not because they weren't talented, but because they couldn't handle the quiet. The silence scared them, the solitude broke them, but the ones who push through that loneliness are the ones who emerge unbreakable. Solitude is where clarity is born. It's where you finally hear your own voice without the influence of others. It's where you reconnect with your mission, your values, and your inner fire. In a world addicted to validation, being alone with yourself is a radical act. It's an act of ownership. It's where you stop asking for approval and start building for impact. And as you grow, your tolerance for meaningless noise shrinks. You no longer crave shallow conversations or surface-level friendships. You seek alignment. You seek people who challenge you, inspire you, and mirror your hunger. But until they arrive, and they will, you must walk alone. Being alone doesn't mean being lonely in the painful sense. It means being self-contained, self-reliant, and self-aware. It means you learn how to motivate yourself, discipline yourself, and trust yourself. You stop outsourcing your ambition. You stop waiting for someone to push you. You become your own engine, your own coach, your own standard. That independence becomes a weapon, because once you stop depending on the world to keep you going, you become unstoppable. There's something powerful that happens when you stop needing company to validate your choices. You move differently. You walk into rooms with quiet confidence. You stop shrinking to fit in. You stop explaining your vision to people who aren't even chasing their own. You become focused, grounded, and dangerous. Not in an aggressive way, but in a deliberate, unshakable way. People feel it. They may not understand it, but they respect it. Isolation also teaches you the value of your time. You no longer give it away cheaply. You stop showing up just to be seen. You start protecting your hours like your life depends on it, because it does. The way you spend your time determines the person you become. And when you spend more time building, learning, and evolving, even if it's alone, you accelerate your growth beyond what most people are willing to do. Eventually, the solitude will pay off, not just in results, but in strength. You'll have developed an inner resolve that cannot be shaken. When things fall apart, you won't crumble because you've already done the hard work in silence. You've already faced the doubt, the boredom, the loneliness, and you kept going. That kind of strength doesn't fade, it compounds. It shows up in every area of life, in business, in health, in relationships. It's because the person who can stay focused and consistent in isolation is the person who can thrive under pressure. Don't fear the quiet seasons. Don't run from the alone time. That's where you become dangerous. That's where you build the mindset, the habits, and the character that success requires. The crowd will catch up later, the applause will come eventually, but by then you won't even need it, because you'll have already built something far more valuable: self-respect, self-belief, and the unshakable knowledge that you didn't just survive the lonely path, you thrived on it. Pain is not the enemy. In fact, it's one of the most honest signals life gives you. Pain shows you where you're growing. It marks the stretch between who you are and who you're becoming. It doesn't show up to punish you. It shows up to push you. It arrives not to break you, but to build you. And those who truly win in life understand that pain is not a setback. It's a signpost. It tells you that you're doing something that matters. It tells you that you've stepped beyond comfort, and nothing great is ever built inside comfort. Most people try to avoid pain at all costs. They retreat at the first sign of discomfort. As soon as things get hard, they tap out. But what they don't realize is that growth lives on the other side of that resistance. Muscles don't grow without tension, skills don't improve without repetition, mindsets don't shift without struggle. Every transformation has a cost, and pain is often the currency. It's the toll you pay for leveling up and you're chasing something big, a dream, a goal, a better version of yourself. Pain is part of the package. It doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It usually means you're doing it right. And there are different kinds of pain. There's the pain of sacrifice, saying no to things you want now so you can have what you truly want later. There's the pain of discipline, showing up when it's inconvenient, staying focused when others relax. There's the pain of rejection, putting yourself out there and getting told you're not good enough. And there's the pain of failure, giving everything you had and still falling short. But every one of these pains has a purpose. They mold you, toughen you, strip away the weakness, and reveal what you're really made of. Pain is also a mirror. It shows you what matters to you. If you didn't care about your dreams, failing wouldn't hurt. If you weren't passionate about your mission, rejection wouldn't sting. The presence of pain is proof that you're invested, that you're in the arena, that you're fighting for something beyond comfort. That alone puts you ahead of most people who would rather spectate than participate, who talk about what they want but avoid the process that makes it real. You, on the other hand, are walking through the fire, and while it burns, it also purifies. There's a moment in every pursuit where you hit the wall, the point where progress slows, where doubt creeps in, where the results don't match the effort. That's where most people quit. They see the pain as a stop sign, but winners see it as a test, a checkpoint. They understand that this is where the old self dies and the new self is born. They keep going, not because it's easy, but because they know what's waiting on the other side. The breakthrough only comes after the breakdown. The clarity only comes after the confusion. The strength only comes after the struggle. Pain also humbles you. It teaches you that you don't know everything, that growth takes time, that mastery is earned, not given. It keeps your ego in check. It reminds you that success isn't guaranteed. It must be earned every day. That humility sharpens your character. It makes you more focused, more grateful, more relentless. You stop expecting things to be easy. You stop looking for shortcuts. And when you do that, you become unshakable. There's a reason some of the strongest people you'll ever meet are the ones who've gone through the most pain. They've walked through fire and kept moving. They've been knocked down and got back up. They've failed publicly, struggled privately, and still showed up. They carry a different kind of energy. Not loud, but grounded, not flashy, but deep, because they've been tested and they've come out the other side with battle scars that turned into badges of honor. The goal isn't to chase pain, the goal is to embrace it when it comes, to not run from it, but to learn from it, to see it as a signal, not a sentence. Every time you push through pain, you build resilience, and resilience is the foundation of every great life. When the storms of life hit, and they will, it's not your talent that will carry you through. It's not your motivation. It's your ability to keep moving through the pain, to not flinch, to not fold, to not fall apart. This doesn't mean you never cry or hurt or struggle. It means you don't let those things stop you. You let them fuel you. You let them teach you. You let them shape you. You understand that pain is temporary, but what you build from it can last forever. Every time you survive a painful moment, you become more dangerous. Not because the pain goes away, but because now you know you can handle it. And once you realize that pain won't kill you, nothing can stop you. Pain is not the punishment. Quitting is, because when you quit, you don't just walk away from the pain. You walk away from the reward. You walk away from the growth. You walk away from the version of yourself that was being forged in the fire. But if you stay the course, if you lean into the pain instead of running from it, you emerge stronger, wiser, and more focused than ever. Not in spite of the pain, but because of it. Failure is not the opposite of success, it's the foundation of it. Every person who has ever achieved something extraordinary has failed, not once, but over and over again. What separates them from everyone else isn't that they avoided failure, but that they learned to fail forward. They understood that failure isn't final unless you stop. It's not a dead end unless you make it one. The most successful people in the world move fast, break things, learn the lesson, and get back up. They don't wallow in their mistakes. They don't let failure define their identity. They treat it as feedback, not judgment. Most people are terrified of failure. They avoid risks, play it safe, and stay small because they fear what others will think if they fall. They fear the sting of embarrassment, the hit to their ego, the sound of silence when their effort doesn't produce applause. But that fear is a trap. It keeps people stuck in comfort zones, repeating the same behaviors and wondering why nothing changes. The irony is, by trying to avoid failure, they end up failing anyway, just slower, quieter, and with less purpose, because inaction is its own form of failure. Failing forward means you stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "What will I learn?" It means you approach every attempt with curiosity, not perfectionism. You understand that progress isn't linear, that sometimes you have to take 10 steps in the wrong direction to discover the one step that works. You give yourself permission to be a beginner, to be messy, to make mistakes, because you know that's how mastery is built. No one starts as an expert. No one avoids the awkward phase. The people who win are the ones who are willing to look foolish for a while if it means growing in the long run. Failing forward also means failing fast, not rushing recklessly but refusing to stay stuck in indecision. Perfectionism is paralysis. People waste years overthinking, overplanning, waiting for the perfect moment to act. But the truth is, you don't know what works until you move. You can study, analyze, strategize, but until you execute, you're guessing. Clarity comes through action. Confidence is earned in motion. You learn faster by doing, failing, adjusting, and doing again than by waiting to get everything right the first time. When you fail forward, you develop resilience. You stop seeing setbacks as threats and start seeing them as part of the path. You stop being surprised when things go wrong, and instead you look for the lesson. That mindset makes you dangerous, because most people crumble after one setback. They take it personally. They think it means they're not good enough. But you see the game for what it is. You expect the challenges. You know that failure is a rite of passage, not a red flag. And that awareness gives you the edge. Every failure is a teacher. Some teach patience, others teach humility. Some expose weaknesses, others reveal strengths you didn't know you had. The faster you fail, the faster you learn. The faster you learn, the faster you grow, and the faster you grow, the faster you win. That's the equation. That's the rhythm of all great achievers. They don't spend a year trying to make one perfect decision. They make 10 decisions, fail on 8, learn from all 10, and move forward stronger than before. That cycle, repeated over time, compounds into mastery. Failing forward requires thick skin. It means hearing criticism and not collapsing. It means getting feedback without letting it shatter your identity. It means separating who you are from the results you get. You are not your failure. You are not your worst mistake. You are not your lowest moment. You are who you choose to become after that moment. And every time you choose to rise, to try again, to face the uncertainty, you reclaim your power. You take another step toward the person you're becoming. The people who laugh at your failures won't be around when you win. And the people who truly support you won't judge your process. They'll respect it. But the real challenge isn't external, it's internal. It's the voice in your head that tells you to give up, to shrink back, to protect your pride instead of chasing your purpose. That voice doesn't go away. You learn to override it, to challenge it, to replace it with a stronger one that says, I can learn, I can grow, I can figure this out. Failing forward means you make peace with imperfection. You stop chasing flawless execution and start chasing consistent action. You don't wait to be ready. You don't wait for the fear to leave. You move scared, you move unsure, and in the process of moving, you evolve. That courage, multiplied daily, rewires how you see failure. It becomes your mentor, not your enemy. You start looking forward to the lessons. You stop flinching when things go wrong, because deep down, you know this is the work. This is the process. This is the price of progress. If you're not failing, you're not stretching. If you're not falling, you're not climbing. And if you're not facing obstacles, you're probably not chasing anything meaningful. Every win you're working for is hiding behind a wall of failures. The only way through is to keep going, to try again, to adjust, to evolve, and to move forward, not perfectly, but powerfully. That's how you build resilience. That's how you build skill. That's how you build a life that actually means something. Through failure, through grit, through the courage to fail forward fast. Energy is your most valuable currency. It determines the quality of your focus, your decisions, your discipline, and ultimately your results. You can't give your best to anything if your energy is scattered, drained, or constantly being hijacked by things that don't matter. Most people think they lack time, but what they really lack is energy management. They wake up tired, go through the day reacting, and wonder why they never feel like they're making progress. But the truth is, their energy is being spent, not invested. And if you don't take control of it, everything else in your life suffers. Protecting your energy doesn't just mean sleeping well and eating clean, although those things matter. It means being intentional with what you allow into your mind, your space, and your daily routine. It means learning to say no, not because you're rude or arrogant, but because you're focused. Every yes to a pointless conversation is a no to your priorities. Every hour spent on mindless scrolling is an hour stolen from your future. Every person you keep around who drains your energy is a silent anchor keeping you from moving forward. You need to start seeing your energy like a battery. It gets charged by purpose, progress, peace, and clarity. It gets drained by chaos, drama, confusion, and noise. And most people don't realize how much they're leaking energy on things that don't serve them. That friend who always complains, the group chat that never ends, the comparison game on social media, the habit of checking emails every 10 minutes. All of it adds up. It chips away at your focus, lowers your vibration, and leaves you too depleted to give your best where it matters most. High achievers don't just manage their time, they guard their energy with obsession. They protect their mornings, they protect their mental space, they create routines, boundaries, and systems, not because they're rigid, but because they know structure protects their power. When you eliminate decision fatigue, when you cut out noise, when you simplify your day, you conserve the mental fuel that's needed for deep work and high performance. You stop giving your best energy to low-level tasks and start using it for what actually moves you forward. The people you surround yourself with are either charging you or draining you. Energy is contagious. If you're constantly around people who gossip, complain, doubt, or distract, you absorb that energy, consciously or not. You start thinking smaller, you second-guess yourself, you adopt their pace and their mindset. That's why your circle matters. You need people who bring clarity, not confusion. People who speak life into your goals, not fear. People who push you to grow, not settle. And if you can't find those people yet, walk alone until you do. Your energy is too precious to waste on people who don't respect it. Your habits are another gatekeeper of your energy. Start paying attention to what gives you momentum and what takes it away. Some habits energize you, like reading, meditating, exercising, or doing focused work. Others drain you, like staying up late for no reason, eating garbage, or binge-watching shows out of boredom. You have to start making decisions that serve your future, not just your feelings. Discipline with your habits is the ultimate form of self-respect. When you treat your body, mind, and time with care, your energy levels rise. You show up differently, you think clearer, you recover faster, you create more. Even your thoughts affect your energy. Negative self-talk, fear, doubt, and overthinking, they all consume more energy than any physical task ever will. That's why mindset is more than motivation, it's maintenance. You have to clean out the mental clutter, replace judgment with curiosity, replace blame with responsibility, replace fear with action. Every time you choose a better thought, you choose better energy, and better energy leads to better results. Protecting your energy starts in the mind, not just in your calendar. The environment you live and work in either supports your focus or sabotages it. Clutter, noise, and disorganization create stress signals in the brain, even if you're not aware of it. Take control of your environment. Clean your space. Design it for peace and productivity. Make it a place where your goals are supported, not suffocated. Your surroundings don't need to be perfect. They just need to be intentional. Every element should serve your mission, not distract from it. Simplicity is powerful. It frees your mind and gives your energy a place to flow. You also have to learn how to recover your energy. You're not a machine. You need time to rest, reflect, and recharge. Rest isn't weakness. It's part of the process. But real rest doesn't come from escaping. It comes from alignment. It comes from doing things that fill your soul, not just numb your stress. Nature, silence, solitude, deep conversations, creative outlets. These things restore you, they ground you, and when you protect space for them, you build energy that sustains you through the grind. Energy management is not a soft skill, it's a success skill. It determines how fast you grow, how deep you can focus, and how long you can stay in the game. Burnout isn't caused by doing too much, it's caused by doing too much of the wrong things for too long, without purpose or renewal. The goal isn't just to go hard, it's to go smart, to move with intention, to choose your inputs wisely, because the truth is, your future doesn't just depend on what you do, it depends on how you feel while you do it. Protecting your energy is how you stay powerful, clear, and unstoppable in a world that's always trying to pull you off course. In a world obsessed with instant gratification, playing the long game is a revolutionary act. Everywhere you look, people are chasing shortcuts. How to get rich fast, how to build success overnight, how to transform their life in 30 days. Social media has made it worse. It shows you the end results, the highlight reels, the big moments, but never the grind, the repetition, the setbacks, or the years of silent effort it took to get there. This obsession with speed has created a generation of quitters, people who jump from one thing to the next, abandoning the process as soon as it stops being exciting. But the truth is, success never rewards the impatient. It honors the committed, the ones who stay when it's boring, who keep building when no one is watching, who play the long game with conviction and discipline. The long game isn't flashy, it's not glamorous, it's not for people looking to impress others, it's for the ones who are serious, who understand that real results take real time. The long game demands sacrifice, patience, and resilience. It forces you to slow down, zoom out, and think years ahead instead of weeks. And in doing so, it separates you from the crowd. Because most people aren't willing to wait for what they want. They want comfort now. They want validation now. They want results now. But that mindset is a trap. It leads to shallow wins and short-lived progress. The long game, on the other hand, builds something solid, something that lasts, something that compounds over time into something powerful. When you commit to the long game, you stop needing everything to happen right now. You don't panic when progress is slow. You don't compare your timeline to someone else's. You trust the process. You keep planting seeds, even when you don't see anything growing, because you understand that most growth is invisible at first. It happens beneath the surface, in the unseen spaces where roots are forming. It's the same with personal development, business, health, or relationships. The first stage is always slow, always uncertain, but that's where the foundation is laid. That's where real strength is built. And if you stay consistent, if you keep showing up, the harvest always comes. The long game also protects you from burnout. When you're not constantly chasing quick wins, you give yourself space to grow sustainably. You don't overpromise and underdeliver. You don't sprint only to crash. You learn to pace yourself. You build systems, habits, and routines that support your energy. You focus on mastery instead of popularity. That mindset allows you to stay in the game longer. And in the long run, endurance always beats intensity. Anyone can go hard for a few weeks. Few can stay consistent for years, but it's those years that separate the good from the great. Playing the long game also teaches you emotional discipline. You learn how to navigate disappointment without quitting. You develop patience when things don't go your way. You stop making decisions based on how you feel and start making them based on what you're building. That kind of mental strength becomes your edge, because while others are driven by trends and hype, you're driven by vision, and vision outlasts noise every time. The long game sharpens your character. It forces you to delay gratification, to stay humble, to trust your gut, even when the results are invisible. You stop needing to prove anything to anyone, and start building for something bigger than approval. And that shift from external validation to internal alignment is what creates peace. It's what allows you to move with confidence, even in uncertainty. Because you know you're not chasing a quick fix, you're building a legacy. This mindset doesn't mean you move slowly. It means you move wisely. It means you measure progress not by speed, but by direction. It means you make decisions based on long-term value, not short-term emotion. Every move is calculated. Every step is strategic. And while the payoff might not be immediate, it is inevitable, because consistency compounds, effort compounds, discipline compounds, and when you combine all of that with time, the results become exponential. The long game also frees you from the pressure of perfection. You don't have to get it all right today. You just have to keep getting better. Small improvements, repeated daily, turn into massive breakthroughs over time. That's how skills are built. That's how reputations are earned. That's how dreams are realized. Not through one big leap, but through thousands of tiny steps taken with intention. It's not about intensity. It's about identity. It's about becoming the kind of person who does the work every day, regardless of the weather, the mood, or the applause. You also learn to fall in love with the process, because when you're playing the long game, the destination matters, but so does the journey. You stop rushing through it. You start finding meaning in the repetition, in the small wins, in the hard lessons. You begin to enjoy the person you're becoming through the grind, and that fulfillment is deeper than any external reward. It's the kind of fulfillment that can't be bought, faked, or stolen. It has to be earned. The world may keep trying to sell you shortcuts, but the people who truly win, in life, in business, in mindset, are the ones who see through the illusion. They know that anything worth building takes time, and they're willing to pay that price. They don't just want to win today, they want to keep winning 10 years from now. And that's why they succeed, because the long game always wins, every time. This focus on its own is powerful, but when sharpened and directed with intention, it becomes firepower. It becomes the engine that drives execution, the weapon that cuts through distractions, and the force that separates high performers from everyone else. Most people think they're focused because they're busy. They equate action with progress, but real focus isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters with intensity, clarity, and relentless consistency. It's about going all in on the things that actually move the needle, while eliminating the noise that drains energy, time, and momentum. Turning focus into firepower means you stop dabbling, you stop dancing around your goals, you stop entertaining options that keep you in cycles of procrastination and indecision. You make a decision, draw a line in the sand, and say, "This is where I'm putting my full weight." And once that decision is made, everything else becomes secondary. You restructure your life to support that goal. You build routines, systems, and boundaries that protect your progress. Your day is no longer driven by other people's demands or distractions, it's driven by your mission. That level of focus changes how you show up. You move with urgency but not anxiety. You work with discipline, not stress. You stop chasing validation because you're too busy chasing excellence. And in that shift, something powerful happens. You enter flow states more often. You begin producing better work faster. You start solving harder problems with less friction. The quality of your decisions improves. Your energy becomes more stable. You stop starting over all the time, because now you're building momentum, and momentum, when fueled by focus, becomes unstoppable. Focus becomes firepower when it's paired with obsession. Not the kind of obsession that burns you out or blinds you, but the kind that drives you to master your craft, the kind that makes you hungry to improve every day, the kind that makes you study the greats, analyze your own habits, and seek out feedback without ego. Obsession isn't about intensity for a short period. It's about consistency for a long time. It's about caring deeply enough to stay locked in, even when no one is watching, even when the results come slow, even when the setbacks hit hard. That's when your focus sharpens. That's when the fire starts to build inside you. Most people lose their edge because they get distracted by things that don't matter. They get caught in comparison, in comfort, in convenience. But when your focus becomes firepower, you stop negotiating with mediocrity. You don't waste time justifying bad habits. You don't explain your choices to people who don't get it. You don't dilute your vision to make others comfortable. You protect your standards. You keep your circle small. You say no without guilt. You choose silence over gossip, structure over chaos, purpose over popularity. When your focus becomes firepower, everything you do is intentional. You don't work randomly. You work in blocks. You don't consume content mindlessly. You consume to learn, to grow, to execute. You don't fill your calendar with distractions disguised as opportunities. You evaluate everything through one filter. Does this move me closer to my mission? If the answer is no, it's not worth your energy. That level of discipline is rare, but it's what creates separation. It's what turns good into great and potential into performance. Turning focus into firepower also means turning setbacks into strategy. You don't get thrown off course by failure, you use it, you analyze it, you let it reveal where your systems are weak, where your mindset needs work, and where your habits need tightening. Failure isn't failure when you're focused, it's feedback, and that feedback, when acted on with urgency and clarity, becomes fuel. You stop fearing mistakes because you're too focused on improvement. You stop seeking comfort because you're addicted to growth. And every time you redirect your energy back to the mission, you become more dangerous. This kind of focus affects more than just your goals. It changes who you are. You become someone people notice, not because you're loud, but because you're intentional. You move with purpose. You speak with weight. You become someone who leads by example, who operates at a different frequency. That kind of presence can't be faked. It comes from firepower, from the internal strength built through deep focus and consistent execution. People respect it because it's rare. They feel it before you say a word. When you operate from this place, distractions lose their power. You stop being reactive and start being proactive. You wake up with a plan. You go to sleep knowing you moved forward. You stop chasing motivation because you've built systems that produce regardless of how you feel. And those systems, powered by relentless focus, turn you into a producer, not just a dreamer. Someone who finishes what they start. Someone who can be counted on. Someone who gets results. Focus without action is wasted. Action without direction is inefficient. But when you combine focused intention with disciplined execution, you ignite something unstoppable. That's the firepower. That's what wins long term. You stop drifting, you stop hoping, you stop starting over. You become a weapon, precise, powerful, and consistent. Not perfect, but committed. Not flawless, but fierce. That's how you rise. That's how you separate. That's how you win. There is a truth buried deep inside every person that most never uncover. It's the truth that you are not average, not ordinary, not meant for a life of regret or mediocrity. You were built to win. You were designed with potential far beyond what you've tapped into. But potential is just a promise, not a guarantee. It doesn't matter what you could become if you don't step into it. The difference between those who become champions and those who fade into the background isn't talent or intelligence or luck. It's a decision. A decision to prove it. A decision to wake up every day and take action. A decision to stop waiting and start building. A decision to become undeniable. Winning isn't for the lucky, it's for the locked in, the ones who take their focus, their pain, their failures, their discipline and use it all as fuel, the ones who stop making excuses and start making moves, the ones who understand that life will test you, push you, break you down, not to defeat you, but to force you to level up. The world doesn't hand out greatness, it hides it behind pressure. It hides it in the days when nothing seems to be working, in the moments when quitting feels easier, in the silence when no one is clapping, and it waits to see who will push through, who will rise, who will stay in the fight long enough to become what they were always meant to be. You were not given a dream just to dream it. You were given it to chase, to grind for, to fail at and rise again. If it was easy, it wouldn't be yours. If it didn't stretch you, it wouldn't grow you. You weren't built for easy. You were built for the fight, for the climb, for the moments when your back's against the wall and all you've got left is your will. That's when you find out who you really are. Not when things go right, but when everything goes wrong and you still refuse to back down. That's not just strength, that's identity. That's knowing in your bones that you're not here to live on default, you're here to dominate. Most people don't lose because they're weak. They lose because they never believed they were strong. They accepted the narrative that said they weren't good enough, smart enough, worthy enough. They let fear make their decisions. They let failure write their story. But you don't have to live like that. You don't have to follow that script. You get to write your own. You get to look in the mirror and say, I am the one. I am not what they said. I am not my past. I am not my fears. I am proof that focus, grit, and discipline can rebuild a life from the ground up. You've already survived more than you think. You've already made it through storms you thought would drown you. You've already walked through days you thought would break you. And yet, you're still here. That alone is evidence that you're stronger than you realize. The question now is not whether you were built to win. The question is whether you'll prove it. Whether you'll stop letting fear whisper you back into comfort. Whether you'll stop waiting for perfect conditions, whether you'll stop giving power to distractions, doubts, and voices that never mattered, whether you'll finally decide that enough is enough and that it's time to step into your greatness. Proving it doesn't mean shouting it to the world. It means showing up every day. It means doing the work when no one sees it. It means falling and getting back up with more fire than before. It means outlasting the ones who had more advantages, more support, more resources, because you had more hunger. It means turning every no into a reason to go harder. It means becoming so locked in that the world has no choice but to pay attention, not because you asked for it, but because your results made it impossible to ignore. You don't need a perfect past to win. You need a powerful present. You need to stop carrying the weight of every mistake like it's your identity. Your story is not over. Your best chapters haven't been written yet, but they never will be if you don't start turning the page. Every goal you've buried, every dream you've silenced, every part of you that still believes in something more, it's time to bring that back to life. Not someday, not next year, now, because tomorrow is promised to no one, and regret is the heaviest burden of all. You don't win by accident. You win by alignment, by waking up and living every day in agreement with your purpose, by training your body, your mind, and your spirit to move in one direction. That kind of focus makes you dangerous. That kind of clarity makes you unstoppable. You stop waiting for motivation and start depending on your habits. You stop needing applause and start building results. You stop dreaming small and start acting bold, because you realize that if you don't prove it now, you'll spend the rest of your life wondering what could have happened if you did. Everything you need is already in you, not in someone else, not in some far-off opportunity. It's in your choices, in your decisions, in your consistency. This book wasn't written to hype you up for a moment. It was written to challenge you for a lifetime, to remind you of what's possible when you lock in, when you commit, when you stay the course. So now the question is simple. Will you prove it? Will you focus on until you win? Because you were built for this. And now is the time to show the world exactly what that looks like. After diving deep into the 12 chapters of this book, one truth becomes crystal clear. Greatness isn't something that happens to you, it's something you build, step by step, through focused, intentional action. Everything you want, from personal freedom to purpose, from mastery to mental peace, is on the other side of your ability to focus and follow through. But if there were only 3 life-changing lessons to walk away with from this journey, these would be the ones that can permanently shift your mindset, elevate your results, and transform the way you live and lead. Discipline is greater than motivation. Motivation is an emotion, and like all emotions, it's inconsistent. It comes in waves. One day you feel like you're ready to take on the world. The next you're questioning your goals, your worth, and your energy. If you rely on motivation alone, your results will be just as inconsistent as your feelings. This is why the most powerful shift you can make in your life is to stop depending on how you feel and start depending on what you do. Discipline is the foundation of every great achievement. It's the invisible force that carries you through the days when nothing is going right, when the results are delayed, and when the temptation to quit is screaming louder than your ambition. Discipline is how you win when your confidence is low, when you're tired, and when the process feels boring. It shows up even when your emotions don't. It gets you out of bed early, it keeps you locked in when distractions call, and it becomes the reason why you eventually succeed while others fade away. When you build a life rooted in discipline, you begin to trust yourself. You know you'll follow through no matter what. And that kind of self-trust is rare. It's what separates the wishers from the builders. While motivation feels good in the moment, discipline feels even better when it becomes a way of life. It gives you long-term results, unshakable consistency, and the ability to pursue your mission regardless of the circumstances. If you can commit to discipline, you don't just get stronger, you become unstoppable. Clarity and focus are your superpowers. Most people are not lazy, they're lost. They have energy, ambition, and desire, but no direction. And without direction, energy is wasted. Without clarity, action becomes random. Without focus, potential is diluted. In a world that's more distracted than ever before, the ability to focus has become the greatest competitive edge. The truth is, if you don't know exactly what you want, why you want it, and how you're going to get it, you will spend your life stuck in motion, but never making progress. Clarity means defining your goals with precision. It's not saying I want to be successful, it's defining what success looks like, how it feels, how it's measured, and when it needs to happen. It's having the courage to get specific and the wisdom to prioritize. When your vision is clear, your energy becomes focused. And when you pair clarity with consistent focus, your actions start compounding in meaningful ways. Focus doesn't just mean concentrating harder. It means making hard decisions about what you will and won't allow into your life. It means cutting out noise, removing distractions, and guarding your mental space like it's sacred. It means building a system around your priorities and removing everything that doesn't align. Focus allows you to go deep rather than wide. It gives you momentum, consistency, and the power to finish what you start. In a world full of scattered minds, the focused mind becomes a weapon, one that cuts through resistance and leads to real, lasting results. Playing the long game will change your life. Most people want quick wins. They want to see results today, and when they don't, they get discouraged, distracted, or they quit. But the truth is, anything that truly matters, anything that's worth building, takes time. Whether it's a career, a business, a body, a skill, or a mindset, the results you want most are hidden behind months and years of quiet work. The long game is not sexy, it's slow, it's often thankless, but it always wins. When you stop expecting immediate results and start committing to a long-term vision, everything changes. You stop panicking when growth is slow. You stop comparing your journey to someone else's. You stop jumping from one shiny opportunity to another. You learn to love the process. You build consistency instead of chasing intensity. And slowly but surely, your work begins to compound. The small efforts you make every day, the habits, the routine, the sacrifices start stacking, and that stack turns into momentum. That momentum turns into mastery, and that mastery turns into success that actually lasts. Playing the long game teaches patience, emotional control, and endurance. It humbles you, it matures you, it forces you to think strategically instead of emotionally. And most importantly, it gives you peace. Because once you realize that real success is not measured in weeks or likes or trends, but in years of growth, value, and legacy, you stop rushing. You start building. And what you build lasts because it was rooted in something deeper than ego, deeper than attention, and deeper than hype. Final thought, these 3 lessons. discipline over motivation, clarity and focus as superpowers, and commitment to the long game are the pillars that will carry you through any challenge, doubt, or setback. They are not temporary tactics, they are lifelong principles. If you internalize them, live them, and apply them every single day, you will not only win, you will keep winning. Not just in goals or achievements, but in confidence, identity, and purpose. That's the real reward of staying focused until you win. Reading a motivational book can be inspiring, but inspiration without application fades fast. The true power of focus on until you win comes not from what you read, but from what you live. This isn't just a collection of good ideas. It's a blueprint for action. The principles in this book are designed to be used, not admired. Here's how to turn them into daily habits that rewire your mindset, elevate your results, and build a life rooted in purpose, discipline, and achievement. Start your day with intentional focus. Before the noise of the world creeps in, you need to take control of your mind. This means starting every morning with a focus ritual, even if it's just 10 minutes. Begin your day in silence, without your phone. Grab a journal or a notepad, write down your top 3 priorities for the day, and define why they matter. This practice eliminates the need to make constant decisions throughout the day and protects your energy for the work that truly matters. By identifying what must get done, you remove the chaos and shift into strategic action mode. It's a small habit, but over time, it rewires your brain for clarity, direction, and control. Time block. With purpose, one of the most practical ways to live a focused life is to control your schedule instead of letting your schedule control you. Time blocking is the tool that turns theory into traction. Break your day into chunks of focused work, 60 to 90 minutes, where you go all in on one task with 0 distractions. Turn off notifications. Set your phone on airplane mode. Close all unrelated tabs. Treat this block of time like it's a sacred appointment. Once it's done, take a short recovery break, then repeat. You'll get more done in 3 focused blocks than most people accomplish in an entire distracted day. Build keystone habits. You don't need to change your whole life overnight. You just need to identify one habit that has a domino effect on everything else. A keystone habit. For many, it might be waking up early, working out daily, or writing down goals. Choose one and make it non-negotiable. For example, if your keystone habit is exercising every morning, that habit reinforces discipline, builds energy, and increases confidence, which flows into your business, your decisions, and your mindset throughout the day. Track it, protect it, master it. Once it's embedded, layer in another. This process compounds and becomes the framework of a high-performance lifestyle. Adopt the do-it-anyway mentality. There will be days when you don't feel motivated, when doubt creeps in, or when life punches you in the gut. Those are the exact days when your identity is shaped. On those days, practice the mantra, do it anyway. Tired? Do it anyway. Uninspired? Do it anyway. No one's watching? Do it anyway. This mindset trains you to stop relying on emotion and start trusting execution. It's how discipline becomes second nature. Each time you show up despite resistance, you strengthen your mental muscle and prove to yourself that consistency isn't based on feelings, it's based on decisions. Audit and adjust your circle. Your environment influences your energy, and your circle shapes your standards. Take inventory of who you spend the most time with. Are they focused or distracted, driven or comfortable, builders or complainers? You don't have to cut everyone off, but you do need to protect your focus. Limit time with people who drain your momentum. Invest more time in people who challenge you to grow. Think bigger and stay consistent. If you don't have that circle yet, create one digitally. through books, podcasts, or online communities. Feed your mind with focused voices until those voices become your new internal dialogue. Create a distraction-free environment. Small changes in your surroundings can produce massive shifts in productivity. Design your environment to serve your goals. Clean your workspace. Remove apps you don't need. Place your phone in another room during focus sessions. Set visual reminders of your goals. When your environment aligns with your priorities, staying focused becomes less about willpower and more about design. It's not about being perfect. It's about making success the default path. The fewer decisions you have to make in the moment, the more you can invest your energy into execution. Start seeing discomfort as a cue that you're growing, not failing. Keep a reflection journal where you write down painful moments, what triggered them, what you learned, and how you'll use it next time. When failure happens, and it will, ask yourself 3 questions. What went wrong? What can I control? What's my next step? This reframing builds resilience and trains your mind to treat failure as fuel instead of friction. Over time, you'll stop fearing hard seasons and start leveraging them for personal growth, emotional intelligence, and long-term strategy. Celebrate progress, not just results. Don't wait for big milestones to validate your effort. Build the habit of noticing and celebrating your consistency. At the end of each day, ask, did I honor my focus today? Did I follow through on what I said I'd do? Reward yourself for keeping promises to yourself, because those small wins are what build confidence and momentum. You'll start to see progress not as some distant goal, but as something you're actively living. That belief fuels the fire to keep going, especially when external results are still catching up to your internal transformation. Commit to the long game. Every week, review your vision. Remind yourself why it matters. Look at your goals not as finish lines, but as milestones in a lifetime of growth. Focus is not a one-month sprint. It's a lifestyle. Commit to it daily. Protect it fiercely. Evolve as you go. Let every action, no matter how small, be a statement that says, I'm not just interested, I'm committed. That's how you close the gap between where you are and where you're meant to be. You don't need to be perfect to apply these lessons. You just need to be consistent. Start today. Start messy, start small, but start and don't stop. That's how you prove to yourself and the world that you're serious. That's how you focus on until you win. Conclusion and call to action: focus on until you win. You've just taken a journey most people never will, not because they can't, but because they won't. Because they're afraid of the work, the silence, the failure, the discipline and the responsibility it takes to win. But not you. You chose to finish, you chose to learn, you chose to confront the truth that success isn't handed out, it's built, earned and protected by those who refuse to quit. Now, the question isn't can you win, the question is will you? Will you apply what you've learned? Will you wake up with intention, protect your energy, outlast the noise, and take relentless action even when no one's watching? Because here's the truth, you don't need more motivation, you need more movement, you don't need another plan, you need more focus, you don't need permission, you need execution. This book wasn't written to hype you up for a moment, it was written to wake you up for a lifetime. So the next step is simple, prove it. And if this message lit something inside you, if it reminded you that you're meant for more, then don't keep it to yourself.